Wealth Masters. My name is Greg Phelps, and I am your host to the Wealth Summit. Our mission here at the Summit is simple. We want to educate and empower you with actionable tools, tips, and tactics to help you grow, protect, and maximize your wealth. And part of that maximization of your wealth is the Roth IRA, which is a very fun topic. And we've got an expert in Roth IRAs today, Johanna Fox-Turner. Johanna, are you ready to help us master our wealth?
Yes, I sure am.
All right, so a little bit about Johanna. Johanna Fox-Turner is a fee-only certified financial planner and a CPA who has been a financial advisor for 35 years. She's a partner in two firms, Fox & Co. CPAs and Fox & Co. Wealth Management, with offices in Mayfield and Paducah, Kentucky. Johanna and her team serve a virtual network of physician and business owner clients and retirees throughout North America. They are committed fee-only advisors, no sales and no commissions, and services are all under a flat fee model. Johanna is a moderator of and frequent contributor to the White Coat Investor blog and forum, the most popular physician financial site on the internet. In her spare time, probably doesn't have a whole lot of it, you'll find her experimenting with new recipes, working out, and visiting her 5 grandchildren in Nashville, Tennessee. I love Nashville. Johanna, that's a little bit about yourself. Take a second, fill in any blanks I might have missed.
Oh, you were right when you were talking about spare time. This is pretty much right now a 7-day-a-week job, but yep. I love it. I absolutely love it.
All right. Well, it certainly keeps us both busy. So we're going to dig right in and just kind of get to the heart of the matter, and we're going to discuss Roth IRAs today. So very first, I want to kind of lay a foundational level of education here, and I want to talk about what is a Roth IRA relative to a regular IRA. So Johanna, go ahead and fill us in.
Okay. So I differentiate Roths from regular. I call them traditional IRAs or TIRAs. So a traditional IRA is an IRA that you either deduct or you can't deduct depending upon your income, but it does not grow tax-free. So when you take the money out, all of the growth in income is taxable. With the Roth IRA, you don't deduct in the beginning. However, all of the growth and income is taxable forever.
Tax-free forever, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
Tax-free forever.
Tax-free forever. Okay, so the Roth IRA is tax-free forever, but you don't get a deduction putting money in, and the IRA, you may or may not get a deduction, a tax deduction, putting money into it, but it's going to grow tax-deferred, and then it's taxable as income when it comes out?
Exactly.
Okay, so there's two different things at play here. One of them is, do you want the tax break up front, or do you want to forego that and get that tax-free distribution later? And the next question I have is, who should actually own a Roth, or who should fund a Roth IRA?
That's a good question. You may hear that you need to only fund a Roth IRA when you are in a low income tax bracket, but at Fox & Company Wealth Management, we believe that everybody should fund a Roth IRA just to have that extra bucket of tax-free income at a later point in their lives.
Okay, and so you don't put an income bracket or a tax bracket stipulation on it, say if you're in the 28% bracket, don't fund it, fund the pre-tax. You say everybody should have a Roth IRA.
Well, I believe if you're in a higher tax bracket, first you fill out your tax-deductible contributions to your 401k, 403b, but then you need to have a Roth IRA as part of your retirement strategy. And where the tax planning comes in is when you contribute to the Roth IRA or convert funds to the Roth IRA. So there's a little bit of finesse there.
Okay. All right. So we've got a couple different factors at play here, and everybody's a little bit different, but everybody should, and I agree with you with this, you should have some tax diversification, which is what we're talking about. I mean, we diversify our investments. Why not diversify our taxes?
Exactly.
Okay.
And a little bit of planning can really help increase and grow your wealth throughout your life.
Okay. So let's just say I'm on board, Johanna, and I want to fund a Roth IRA. Well, when should I fund it?
Well, you can fund a Roth IRA as early as you have earned income. Like a traditional IRA, you're limited to $5,500 a year of earned income, but you can start that for your teenage child when they are babysitting, dog walking, whatever that they can do to earn income, and it's good for them too. I think kids need to have a job and be productive, but if you haven't done that when you're young, you can start when you are in college or out of college and starting your career.
So there's no age limit. So my twin 14-year-old boys, if I put them to work, which I have this summer a little bit, watch out, guys. So when I put them to work and they have earned income, they can actually fund a Roth IRA.
Yes, and what I typically recommend is you don't take their money away from them if they work so hard to earn, but you may say, okay, for every dollar you put in, I'm going to match that, or you just work enough to get enough to fund a Roth IRA, $1,000 to $5,500, and then the parent can fund it, which is kind of good estate planning too.
Yeah, yeah, and that's probably one of the most valuable gifts you could ever give a child is to fund
Yes.
that Roth IRA while they're young, and when they retire,
Hmm.
it's going to be a nice chunk of tax-free money.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
So, Joanna, since the Roth IRA and the regular IRA are different in their tax consequences, I imagine, I mean, do we invest them the same or do we invest them differently? I mean, what's your preference?
Well, I recommend if you have different investment strategies, which we typically don't here at Fox and Company, but that your most aggressive growth strategy needs to be inside the Roth IRA because that's where you really want to funnel money that's going to grow and build that tax-free stream of income.
Okay. So if I assume most of your clients probably have some mix of stocks and bonds. So let's just say they're a 60% stock investor and a 40% bond investor. What you're saying is that if you're going to differentiate your Roth IRA, your taxable, you would take that stock allocation and put that in the Roth IRA first because you want more growth there.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
And take advantage of those higher returns over long periods of time as well, I suppose.
Exactly. Just as long as you have a properly diversified equity portfolio, I wouldn't recommend taking a Roth and investing it in your friend's business, but some diversified mutual funds that you can just set it and forget it, rebalance occasionally, and let them grow for the long term.
Okay, but your more aggressive investments. You know, Joanna, interestingly enough, I saw this week a client brought in, they're moving over from another firm, and this firm had put in their Roth IRA a limited partnership, an illiquid limited partnership that had done very poorly. And I just felt horrible for her because I would never do
Yeah,
that.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, so pro tip out there, Wealth Masters, your Roth IRAs, if you're going to invest them differently, that's where you want your more aggressive, longer term mutual funds and those strategies in there. So even within that stock allocation, I suppose, if you've got smaller companies, which are more aggressive than the larger ones, you would probably even put the smaller companies in the Roth first, right?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Small cap growth, small cap value, some international, even some REIT mutual funds in that
As long
Roth
as you're in it for the
IRA.
long term.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's key because when you get to retirement, you might want to start drawing off of that Roth IRA. Maybe you change your investment strategy.
Yeah, and at retirement, then you've got to look at your tax strategy. Do you need the tax-free income then, or do you want to let it grow for the future and maybe pass it on to the next generation?
Yeah, well, let's kind of go ahead and talk about that retirement situation. So, when do you actually need your Roth IRA? When are you going to use it in the context of your financial plan?
Well, I've talked about estate planning. Uh, we love to see clients who want to invest their Roth IRAs for the next generation
Hmm.
and grow that big account so that their children and grandchildren can get a huge bucket of tax-free income from them no matter what tax bracket they're in.
Okay.
And one thing I've found is that people, as they get toward age 70 and a half and they have their retirement plan in order, they get less and less interested in taking money out of their retirement accounts because usually they have a plan so that they're doing quite well.
Hmm.
So they're with the Roth IRA, you're not forced to take required minimum distributions, and so you
Okay.
can continue letting that grow throughout your life.
Okay. So, explain real quick for the viewers out there, what is a required minimum distribution?
Good question. So with a typical IRA, a traditional, when you reach age 70 and a half, you are required to begin emptying that account over the rest of your life and paying taxes on it, whether you want to or not. The IRS requires that.
Okay. So if I've got my regular IRA, which maybe was a rollover from a 401k, which is a very common
Hmm.
situation, when I turn 70 and a half, the IRS says, hey, wait a second, you can't leave this in there forever. We want our pound of flesh, essentially. They want their taxes. So
Right.
you've got to pull a certain amount out.
Hmm. Yeah, you got the deduction when you were young and when you were working in your career. Now they want you to pay the piper and start taking that money out and paying the IRS.
And you're saying with the Roth IRA, there's no requirement for this.
That's one of the beautiful things about a Roth IRA is you can let that money grow just throughout your life
Hmm.
and even leave it to your heirs.
Right.
So, yeah.
And what, I'm just curious. When you say leave it to your heirs, let's say I've got my Roth IRA, I pass on, I'm long gone. What are the rules on them with my Roth IRA? They have to take it out all immediately, or is it over a period of time?
No, now they can take it out over their lifetimes. They're not, a Roth IRA is not intended to be some kind of dynasty where it passes on and on and on and grows forever. So you do have to take it out in the next generation, but over a period of years, over their lifetimes.
Okay. All right. So that means that they're going to have a stream of income over their lifetime, and their account statement's going to have my name on it. That looks kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
They'll be thinking about me forever.
And thanking me.
Yes, and thanking you, especially because I mean, who knows what their tax rates are going to be, but I'm hoping that they're in a higher tax bracket than I am, just because that'll mean that they're doing well. So this will be a really powerful tool.
Exactly. And I mean, imagine when you retire, you're going to be in the 15, 20, 28% bracket, 20% for capital gains. And you really don't need to take that tax-free income so much then. And your grandchildren and children hopefully are very successful and they're established in their careers. And just to have that tax-free income is a real blessing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's a great strategy, and sounds like you like to use this for estate planning as well. I'm
Mhm.
kind of curious. Do you find that even though when somebody is, let's just say, 75 or 80, and they could take some money out of that Roth IRA, that they kind of don't want to because of that estate planning benefit?
Exactly. And what I see people doing is as they get closer to that age, converting their regular IRAs that are going to be taxable over to a Roth IRA, paying some taxes, doing it in a period of years so that you're strategically planning for taxes, and then lowering the required minimum distributions for when they reach age 70 and a half.
Okay. And is there a gap or an age bracket that you would say that these things are really popular or they're really beneficial to people? I mean, is it early in retirement? Is it later?
Do you
As
mean
far as the
for
conversions,
for
converting an IRA over to Roth.
Oh, uh, well, there's two times. One, in a low income year, obviously that's going to be good because you're going to pay taxes at a lower rate. But number two is when we're in a bear market or a correction, and you may be in a high tax bracket, but you get to convert that money at bargain prices.
Right. So in the context of that idea, so let's just say your IRA is $100,000, and we're in a bear
Mhm.
market, and the market drops 25%. Now it's $75,000. So all of those share prices in your IRA are compressed. You're saying that's a good
Mhm.
time to do a conversion because they're cheap. So you might take out 75,000 and convert it into Roth when, who knows, a year ago it might have been 100,000. You would have paid a tax on an additional 25,000. That's, I think, the concept, right?
That's exactly the concept. And Roth IRA conversions are one of the best tax planning strategies I know of because after you convert, you have until next year on October the 15th to do what's called a recharacterization. Say you're in a higher tax bracket than you expected, then you can undo it. I call it like a mulligan in golf. You get to undo the amount that will take you down to the tax bracket you want to be in. So you can really just configure it and determine your own tax bracket.
So let's just say I'm 65 and I convert $50,000 of my IRA to Roth IRA, and then next year it just turns out that I had to pull out more money for whatever reason. I'm in a higher bracket. I don't want that conversion because that's a $50,000 income, chunk that goes on my tax return. It's a lot of taxes. I can just undo it. I can mulligan it.
Exactly. Or you can say you have $10,000 of income in a higher tax bracket than you planned. You don't have to mulligan the whole amount. You can take that $10,000 and say, okay, I want to put this back where it came from.
Oh, okay. All right. So Johanna, let's talk about this. How much should I put into my Roth IRA? There's got to be some limits, right?
Well, there are limits for contributions. So you can contribute $5,500 per year. If your spouse doesn't work, you can do a spousal Roth IRA. But the big advantage comes from these conversions throughout your life, because you can convert any amount you want as long as you have an IRA or a 401k to roll out and put in that Roth.
So there's no limits on the conversion. I can convert my entire IRA if I wanted to, and it could be $500,000.
Oh, absolutely. And a lot of people get mixed up on this because before 2010, there were limits, and if you made over $100,000, you couldn't convert at all.
Oh, okay. So that's
That
gone away,
changed.
and now
hmm
there's no rules as far as I can convert the whole thing.
Yes, I think the IRS decided they'd rather have that tax money up front
Yeah.
and go ahead, and it's a free-for-all, convert what you want and just pay us.
Well, the IRS is typically short-sighted.
Yeah.
But what if okay, so I can convert, but what if I can't contribute? I want to put in that $5,500, but I make too much money because there's income limits.
Oh,
What
yes.
happens?
If your adjusted gross income is over $196,000, you're prohibited from a direct contribution to a Roth IRA. However, there is a technique called a backdoor Roth IRA. And to do a backdoor Roth IRA, you contribute to that TIRA, traditional IRA I was talking about, but you do not get to deduct it. Then wait a few days and convert the TIRA to a Roth IRA, and you have the same end result.
Okay, so you fund an IRA, you don't take a deduction, and then
Mhm.
you convert that IRA into a Roth IRA, and essentially it's like you just funded the Roth IRA.
Exactly. It just takes an extra step.
Okay, so that's the backdoor Roth IRA.
Mhm.
Now, are there any limits? I mean, what if I've got other IRAs lying all over the place, and I've got different custodians and so forth, and this one I do is non-deductible, but if I convert it, are there any tax issues with
Oh,
that?
yes, I'm glad you mentioned that. If you have pre-tax IRAs in your name, you'll have to pay what's called a pro rata tax on that conversion. So what we recommend in that situation is, number one, if you have a side business, a side hustle that you have some earned income, you set up a solo 401k, or you see if your current 401k or 403b at your employer will allow you to roll those IRAs into your work 401k or 403b. Not all plans allow this, but in my experience, most do.
Okay, and so the purpose of that would be so I don't have all these scattered IRAs lying around because of that pro rata rule?
Yes, and the pro rata rule only counts for IRAs. It does not count for 401ks. So that's why your goal is to get that money into the 401k. There's no tax effect. You roll directly from a pre-tax into a 401k. You're not going to pay any taxes. And then you have that shelter around your IRA with the 401k, and you can go ahead with the backdoor Roth.
Okay, so then you would go fund the Roth, you don't get a deduction, and then you convert it. But the key is it's kind of like that pro rata rule. It sounds to me like a cup of coffee. And once you put the cream in it, it's just mixed in. And once you pour that out of the
Yes.
IRA, you convert that cup of coffee IRA over into Roth. It doesn't matter whether it was whether you got the deduction on it up front or you didn't get a deduction. The IRS says, well, a portion of that you got a deduction on, so you
hmm
have to pay prorated.
Yes. Yes, that's
Okay.
exactly right.
Okay, so that's a little pro tip out there. If you're going to do a backdoor Roth IRA, make sure it is your only IRA. If you've got other IRAs lying around, get them transferred into your 401k, because if you do convert, you can't just convert an IRA account. You have to convert. The IRS looks at it as one IRA as all IRAs in one bucket.
Yes, exactly
Okay,
right.
so Joanna, I'm on board. I want to do this. How do I start a Roth IRA?
Well, you go to your friendly financial advisor and have them set it up for you, or a Roth IRA is quite easy to set up on your own. So you just go to an online custodian or broker and fill out the forms online. You can probably get it done in 15 minutes or less.
Okay. Are there any custodians that you prefer if people wanted to do it themselves?
There are a lot of good ones. I like E-Trade, Fidelity, Schwab. What you need to do is look at the fees that they charge for buying mutual funds so that you're paying the lowest price possible.
Right. Okay. And I like Vanguard for some of those as well. When we do
hmm
hourly consultations, we send them to Vanguard and just say, go log in, open
Vanguard's
the.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what if I want to do a Roth IRA through my 401k? Can I do that? Do they have that option?
Oh, yes. A few years ago, 401ks started a Roth option, and that doesn't mean all 401ks allow this. You have to check with your employer, take a look at the SPD or summary plan description, and see if that's allowed. And you can even divide your contribution between part Roth and part deductible IRA. And so you're getting into some tax planning there. How much deduction do I need, and how much do I want my Roth to have in a Roth that will grow tax free? Now,
Okay.
one little thing to know is if you get an employer match, that does not go into the Roth. It always goes into your pre-tax account.
Okay. So any match that the employer gives me, sometimes they'll give you 50 cents on the dollar up to a few percent or something like that. That would go
hmm
pre-tax always, no matter what, because they're getting the deduction the company is.
Yes.
And any profit sharing, I suppose, would be pre-tax as well. But you can
hmm
actually, out of your paycheck in your Roth 401k, fund that Roth component.
Exactly. So some people aren't even aware that their employer offers this. So it's very important to know what your SPD, your summary plan description says. And even if your employer doesn't offer it, maybe lobby them to add that Roth option, because it's not going to cost them anything else to allow employees to contribute to Roth IRAs.
Right. And especially if you're in a lower tax bracket. I mean, obviously, we should all have a Roth IRA, but especially if you're in a lower tax bracket, it's just, a huge opportunity missed if you don't have that Roth contribution.
Kind of what they call a no-brainer.
It is a no-brainer. And anecdotally, I do have a few 401ks we manage, and for some reason, one of them, they just refuse to do the Roth option. They feel it's too complex for the participants, and
Oh,
I fought and fought and fought. But anyways, I'll
that's a
keep.
shame.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It is. Okay, so Joanna, let's go ahead and bring it home. And I like to give all the wealth masters out there some actionable, things that they can take away and learn from immediately. So let's go ahead. If
Mhm.
there's nothing else that we learned from this discussion, go ahead and give us your key action items and takeaways.
Okay, first of all, anybody can benefit from a Roth IRA. It's not just for people who are in the lowest income brackets. You've got to think far out into the future. What will my money grow to? What kind of tax-free income am I going to need at retirement? Or do I want to leave for my children and grandchildren? Number two, you can get money in a Roth in two different ways: by directly contributing or the backdoor Roth, and by converting from a pre-tax IRA into a Roth IRA. Number three, market dips are a great time to build up your Roth IRA and to convert money investments while they're on sale at bargain prices. Number four, Roth IRAs have no age limit. You can begin contributing as soon as you're earning money and as long as you're earning money later
Okay.
on. So, oh, I had one more. When you're investing in your Roth IRA, invest for the person who's going to eventually benefit from it.
Ah,
So if you're, say, 60, and you're using the traditional bond stock ratio just because that's what you've been told you're supposed to do. If you're not the one that's going to use that Roth and your grandchildren are, then invest for them. They've got a lot longer time frame.
Right. So you would invest it, maybe kind of earmark that Roth IRA with the aggressive, really aggressive investments, even if
Yes.
it doesn't fit with your plan.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. All right. That's a great little pro tip there. I love it, Johanna. Thank you very much. All right, Johanna. So if the Wealth Masters out there, if they want to reach out to you to get more Roth IRA information or for questions or comments, how would you prefer that they seek you out?
Email me, Johanna at foxwealthmanagementmgmt.com, and our phone number is 270-247-0555.
All right. Johanna, thank you very much. Roth IRAs do rock, and I appreciate you enlightening us on some of those little tips and tools and strategies. So, Wealth Masters, either you control your money or it will control you. The Roth IRA is a great tool for retirement planning to boost your ultimate lifetime wealth and to reduce your taxes. So, definitely consider that and build that into your plan. Johanna, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you, Greg. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate it.
All right. This is Greg Phelps for the Wealth Summit, signing off.